Hello, everyone. It's Aaron St. Denis at FFMadScientist, joined by Jeremy Shulman at FF_Rebel, and this is the Fantasy Football Universe. We are continuing on with the 2024 rookie sneak peeks. Today is New Hampshire running back Dylan Laube. I'm not sure. I think it's Laube, but this one was written by you, Jeremy, correct?
Yeah, and watching some of the highlights, I heard the announcers say Laube. So
Laube, Dylan Laube.
If you will.
All right. Well, if you'd like to see the full write-up on Laube, head over to fantasyfootballuniverse.com. I guess we will get right into this one. He was a running back out of West Hampton Beach High School in West Hampton, New York. Sounds like a nice place. In high school, Laube recorded over 7,600 receiving and rushing yards combined and a total of 120 touchdowns. However, even with his impressive production, he was only offered one scholarship by the University of New Hampshire. Laube attended New Hampshire and continued his onslaught of the lesser competition. In his final two collegiate seasons, he posted 1,920 rushing yards, 667 receiving yards, and 22 touchdowns. He also led all of the FCS and all-purpose yards in both seasons. He represents a true unknown, but he certainly earned his invite to the Super Bowl, Senior Bowl, and the NFL Combine with his stellar play and dominance at every level. If he can make the jump, he could be a true weapon in the receiving game for an NFL team. And that's before I ask you what you noticed. That's the first thing I noticed. I was looking at some of his stat lines, and I was going, wow, he never cracked 1,000 yards as a receiver. That's not fair. Oh, he's a running back. That's kind of impressive, his receiving yards. That I went from, wow, this guy kind of sucks to, well, that's a lot of receiving yards for a running back. So what stood out for you? Was it the receiving, I assume?
Oh, yeah. And I didn't check the stats for his junior year specifically, but I went into senior year. Not only did he by far lead his team, of course, we're talking about the University of New Hampshire here, but lead his team in rushing, but he also led his team in receiving of every single player. So he was the guy in this offense, especially in the senior year. And as you can see in those last 2 years, just leading the entire FCS, which again, more research, 128 schools in the FCS. So, nothing to sneeze at there, but led him in back-to-back years in all-purpose yards. He's also a decent returner.
Yeah, his senior year there, he had almost as many receiving yards as he did rushing yards. And it's not like he had a terrible season, like he didn't break 1,000 rushing yards, but 715 on the ground and 699 in the air is impressive. It's also even like, I know in 2022, the receiving yards weren't as high, but he still rushed for over 1,200 yards and almost 500 receiving yards. So that's pretty damn impressive. I think this might be the best receiver in this class for as far as running backs. It's just a shame he's buried so far down the list here. We'll get into it with the measurables. 5'9" for the 19th percentile, 210 pounds, 41st percentile. He is a senior. I believe it's actually, is it 20.1? Is that accurate?
No, he's much older than that.
I was going to say, I thought it was 22. I think I made a typo there. I think that's 22.
I couldn't find his age. He may even be older than that. He was in college for 5 years.
No, I think I remember looking this up. I think when I found it, it was 22.1. I don't know when I updated the sheet here, or the stat chart. College Football Reference doesn't have one on him, so we had to create this custom. That's why it looks a little different. So I think when I entered this, I screwed up a little bit of the data formatting here. So he's not 20, he's a little older, but we will get into the scouting report with his strengths. Good vision with surprising quickness through the hole and around the edge. Shifty with a nice burst when catching passes and turning upfield. Excellent receiving chops with good body control, slippery in the open field, and a good punt returner. So at all that, what do you think was his biggest strength for you?
Yeah, outside of the receiving, it's the returning. I think he's got a chance to really stick on an NFL team if he can grab a hold of that punt return. Certainly kick return is dying out. And you want probably a speedier guy there anyway. But he's got the shiftiness to make it work in the punt return game. And if he can lock down that spot for an NFL team, then he can stick on a roster and hopefully gain more work. Yeah,
that's really an undervalued thing of these. Like the day day 1 guys, day 2 guys, it doesn't really matter. They're going to get their shot. But for these day 3 guys, something like a returnability, special teams performance, something like that can keep them on the field when maybe they're not getting running back snaps. That's useful, because then when the injury does happen, well, they're already here. So let's see what he has, what he can do. So I like that. That gives him a little bit of upside there. He's a good pass catcher, and he's got some returnability. His weaknesses: fast on the field, but lacks the elite speed needed at the next level. Unlikely to be a productive inside runner because he's pretty small. Not helpful in pass pro because he's pretty small. Has never faced top tier competition in high school or college. So
because he's pretty small.
Because he's pretty small. What was your biggest weakness there besides being pretty small?
Yeah, that's what it is. I mean, look, you want to see guys in these when they're facing lesser competition dominate, and that's just what he did in high school and in college. So you can't take that away from him. Like I said in the intro that I wrote up there that you read, the invite to the Senior Bowl and the Combine was well earned because of how he performed. The problem is he just really hasn't been able to face this top tier competition because despite his crazy high school production, nobody offered him a scholarship. He was not going to make it on, to a D1 school. And if he did, he may have just been an average player. So the NFL is going to see what they like about him. Senior Bowl, I believe he was one of the guys who practiced and showed well and then left before the game actually happened.
That's a bold strategy.
Holds well for him, feeling like he could do that. But then, of course, Combine will really tell his story.
Yeah, not sure if a player of his limited reputation should be leaving the Combine and just resting on their laurels. Seems like he would have been one of those guys who should probably put in the full weekend, but just saying. See, these guys are interesting for me, though. Who was it? Sky Moore from the small schools where, sure, you can't hold it against them that they had lower competition. At the same time, all you could do is expect him to dominate, which he did. But the problem with these guys is they're 50-50. Once they get there, it's like, oh, he was just good. It didn't matter the competition. Or he gets here and it's like, oh, yeah, it was just the level of competition. So it's definitely a high risk, which is probably why he's going to be late day 3 at best. You have him as a late 5th, early 6th round pick. I think I might even have him later. I think I have him on the 6-7 borderline, but either way, he's solidly down in day 3. You have him to the Giants. I guess in that case, it doesn't with him, it doesn't really matter if Saquon's leaving. I don't think that's all that critical. I'm sure it's better for the outlook of him being, not as buried on the depth chart with Saquon gone, but I don't think either of us is kidding ourselves thinking that he's going to steal Saquon's job. So tell me a little more about where you think he goes and why you think the Giants is good.
Yeah, I think the assumption is that Saquon leaves. I mean, there's been a lot of chatter, but we'll have to see what ends up happening. Assuming Saquon is gone, Gary Brightwell, Eric Gray, Matt Breida, and Jaquan something, Corbin or something that's their depth chart.
Oh, Jashawn Corbin, he's there. I thought he was in Arizona. Cut him. Huh.
So that's it. There's those. That's the depth chart, right? So the only guy who's slight enough to maybe have a pass catching role is Eric Gray. Trying to remember back, I don't think that's his forte. So somewhere where that role is wide open. Daniel Jones, we know he can run the ball, but he's not necessarily grouped in these running quarterbacks because he has the ability to check down and will do it. So, if he can carve out a 3rd down role with limited competition, also become a return guy. The Giants have kind of that lockdown between Wandale and there's a couple other guys on that roster that can take those punt returns. But I think that's a team that is not looking to compete this year. They're trying to build, and that's where he needs to go. He needs to go somewhere where he can earn snaps in a 3rd down role, and he can try and get on the field with not a lot of pressure for the team to win.
This one's tough for me. I had him as kind of a New England Patriot, Bill Belichick, check down James White type special, but Belichick's not there anymore. So I'm trying to find a place where there's room on the depth chart and they need someone because I see him as basically a 3rd down pass catching specialist.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of what's a good landing spot for that.
I was thinking Carolina, another limited depth
Yeah.
chart, but then of course you have Bryce Young.
Yeah,
And
I like
he's
that
kind of
one.
a rushing quarterback who's just not going to check down unless he drastically learns how to do that.
Well, he may need to learn how to do that, or he may be a CFL quarterback in the very near future. So I don't mind that one. I think he could be decent in Dallas as a check down option.
Yeah, don't forget they already have Coach's son over there.
Oh yeah.
What's his
Yeah.
name? Deuce.
Deuce Vaughn. Yeah. Arizona, I don't mind with James Cook getting all the. I don't think there's a great destination because I don't think, regardless of where he goes, it's not like he's walking in as a day one starter. But I'd like to see him get a chance somewhere as a kick returner and ultimately as like the third down pass catching specialist. So,
yeah.
All right. Well, that's a wrap of the 2024 rookie sneak peek of New Hampshire running back Dylan Laube for Aaron. Oh, actually, if you want to see the whole write-up of Laube or any of the other prospects, head over to fantasyfootballuniverse.com. If not, check back tomorrow for the next video in our series. For Aaron and Jeremy, thank you all for tuning into the Fantasy Football Universe. Take care and have a great day.